Pick a move in the ring. You can hit me with the words you fling.
Hey Gary, what's up?
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah, not bad, man. Thanks for joining me. Yeah, how's everything with you?
Oh, everything's going pretty good, man. You know, a lot of a lot of ups and downs, a lot of things going on in the world right now, a lot of things going on in my life as well. So, a lot of stuff going on for sure.
Yeah, man. I remember I saw some tweets you put out saying that your gym was closed because of the coronavirus pandemic. What's the situation with that? Have you been able to reopen it?
So all of our stuff's in storage right now. They basically the they had an executive order out that it was like a complete stay at home. They just changed that, so I guess there's going to be like kind of a slow opening now. But prior to that, I mean, everything was pretty much shut down. I was still running online classes and stuff, so like I was doing okay. Like we were still making the gym was still making money. But then the guy I was leasing from, he went bankrupt. So I was in a sublease. So he had like the main facility, and then, I had a piece of it. And when he folded, I had to leave. I tried to work something out with the existing landlord, but he wasn't interested. So it was a real shame too, because we had just moved in like a few months before that and built the whole place out. Did a whole bunch of stuff, man, and it was depressing for sure. So yeah, all of our stuff's in storage, and I'm kind of waiting until they make it legal again for us to open up a gym. I have a lot of friends that are just kind of running classes at their gyms anyway, but it's kind of hard to like open a new gym while it's illegal, because there's a lot of like bureaucracy and paperwork involved with that. And I just don't think it's going to be a very easy thing. And let's say best case scenario, I managed to do it somehow, then I get shut down after I just invest more money into it. And it's like, now I'm going to drive my business bankrupt. So I'm kind of waiting on the government to say we can train now.
Yeah, I remember the last time I spoke to you a few months ago, you were really excited. You were going to pick up a drill, get some batteries for the drill to open the gym. Yeah, it's such a shame. I'm really sorry about that. But I mean, I guess that's affecting your ability to train as well. What's going on with your training? Are you just managing to work out when you can at home?
Yeah, so I'm training, man. Not just at home. Like I definitely we're getting together in a group to train. I guess I should say we don't, but yeah, I think everybody recognizes that like professional athletes are still out there, doing what they need to do for their job. So, yeah, I mean, basically you just get together in a pro group, and I'm still sparring, I'm still doing jujitsu, I'm still doing all those things. It makes it a little difficult because you obviously don't have as many training partners as you had previously and things like that. So, and limited training times and things. So, there's curfews and this, that, and the other thing. So it makes it more difficult, but I'm still getting the work in. I still feel like, I'm on top of my game. I don't really feel like I'm out of shape or anything like that. So, as far as my own personal trainings going, things are still going pretty good. It's one of the one of the only things I actually have to look forward to since I no longer get to run my gym and things like that. So
Where was the gym? Sorry, is it New Jersey, New York? I forgot.
I was in New Jersey, East Brunswick specifically. It's like the center of the state. It's roughly I would say it's a little around an hour outside of New York City.
And I guess that New York is one of the states that was hit hardest by the coronavirus, right? So I guess that's why it's so strict.
Yeah, New York was, New Jersey certainly was as well. And they kind of like follow along with a lot of the policies that New York has and things. I think even New York though opened up a little bit before we did, at least like with partial openings with certain things. I think our governor had more to blame for that kind of stuff, that as far as us being shut down for like completely shut down for an extended period of time. But in terms of whether or not it was justified due to the actual effects of the pandemic, I mean, we definitely were some of the most impacted states. So I do understand, I guess, harsher lockdowns than other places in those particular areas. That's kind of my general thought process, was that that's the way that it should have been. I mean, there's places in middle America that like really weren't impacted by it much. It was kind of odd that we had like a nationwide, kind of shut down when a lot of places like didn't really have a lot of cases and things. But by us, yeah, there was definitely quite a few.
Do you think it's good to start opening up now? Where do you stand on that big debate of whether we should be getting back to normal life just now, or should we wait a bit more?
Yeah, man. I mean, I've been probably, for the idea of getting back to normal life as early as possible. I just kind of I got the whole argument about kind of keeping things shut down while the hospitals have time to kind of get prepared, and so that they're not overrun, so that people don't needlessly die because they need a hospital bed or need hospital treatment, and all the beds are full or whatever. Like, I get that, but once you're past that point, it just doesn't really seem to make sense to me anymore. Because I mean, outside of just like crossing your fingers that a vaccine is going to come one day, which you just really don't know if that's actually going to happen, because there's a ton of viruses that have never had a cure or vaccine or anything like that. So it would be odd to like just be like, all right, we're just going to stay inside forever until until they come up with a way to fix this. It would be kind of weird. So outside of that, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. Like once you feel as though the hospital system can handle it, like you just kind of got to go back to normal life. At least allow people, I guess I should say, to go back to normal life. I certainly wouldn't be insisting that, for instance, there are certain groups of the population that are harder hit by this, older people that are sick, et cetera, already, that have medical issues. Of course, like, I think it would be in their best interest to kind of play it a little bit more safe, and maybe, maybe don't come into contact with as many people. The way that we're running our nursing homes and things should probably change, and those should be a little bit more locked down and things. But other than that, I think you should at the very least give people the freedom to go do things if they want to, at this point.
Well, you said you've been able to train, and the last time I spoke to you, I think it was March, you were just gearing up for your return. You were going to go to Kuala Lumpur to fight one of those Infinity cards, I think it was. Yeah, just talk me through the frustration of going through all the build-up for that, and then just as you were getting ready to come back, all of this nonsense blew up, right?
Yeah, man, it was frustrating. I think they were trying to hold on as long as they could to, keeping the show running. I think eventually they moved it to Singapore because that's what they were doing. They were doing shows in Singapore with no audience, right? And that's kind of the general thing that everybody's kind of doing, is doing the no audience shows and then just put out the broadcast. But yeah, it was, I don't know if it was like maybe 3 weeks beforehand that I finally got the, we're definitely not doing this anymore kind of notice. And yeah, it was disappointing, man. I hadn't fought in a meaningful period of time before that. So I was really looking forward to getting back in there and fighting, because now I think it's been over a year layoff since the last time I fought. So like I said, I'm still keeping fresh and training every day, but there's just something about actually being in the cage and getting the experience that I really want. And that was a big part of my ambition in MMA, was to try to get as many fights as I possibly could in very fast. So,
yeah, just bringing up your last fight here on the screen. Don't know if you can see it, but excellent stuff. Yeah, that was May last year. So
yeah,
it's coming up on a year. It's already been a year now. Yeah. So what have you got any idea now when it might be getting back to normal? Have they spoken to you from One Championship?
So they haven't spoken to me specifically about, when we're going to get back to normal and like when we're going to kind of start doing events again. The tricky thing, I think, and I could be wrong about this, I believe Singapore's borders are still closed both ways. So the tricky thing is like, even if they wanted to hold a show elsewhere, I don't think they could get their employees there because they're in Singapore, right? And they can't do a show in Singapore because they can't get other people in Singapore. So I think that's probably the tough thing that they're struggling with on their end, as far as, when they're going to, open back up and get moving again. I'm not so sure. But the way I see it, nobody said this to me specifically, but just like mentally, unless they have forewarning of when things are going to open back up. Like, for instance, let's say like the whatever leaders in Singapore are in charge of that, let them know ahead of time, or announced like, hey, we're going to be opening back up this date. I would say from whatever that date was moving forward, they're still going to need a minimum of like 3 months, I would think, to plan an event. So not knowing when that date's going to be right now suggests to me that we're probably still like a good like 4 to 6 months out from having an event. I could be wrong about that. Again, this is making a lot of assumptions, but just for planning purposes, you would imagine that in order to get people on a card, and ready to fight and everything like that, you would think that it would take but maybe they would rush people. I don't know. Maybe they would say, hey, listen, we want to get things moving. You want to take a fight in 4 weeks, and maybe they would throw an event quickly. I'm not so sure. But yeah, I mean, I'm hoping they start up quick,
We were trying to figure out who you were fighting because you couldn't say at the time. Are you able to say now, or are you still going to be fighting the same guy?
I might be able to, but if I'm being entirely honest, I'm not able to remember the guy's name at this very moment. I do know I give you about the same information that I gave you last time. The opponent was a part of the reason I don't remember the name is because he's not in the organization, or he wasn't in the organization until recently. He is 12-0, I think, and he was coming from another organization. So, yeah, it was supposed to be a super tough opponent. I think they were trying to give me that because I think most of the guys in the organization already that are the contenders are interested in fighting for the title, and it's probably hard to convince them, hey, fight this dude who's 5-0, who's probably likely to submit you, instead of taking the title fight. So I think it's a tough sell. So I think they'll probably, I don't know. I still hear some talk, they've asked me to do some promotional things for the Martin Nguyen fight. So maybe that's still on the table. I think they're kind of bouncing a bunch of different things around. I'm sure they're scrambling to try to put a card together. So, if it's right, then, I'd love that fight. If I have to fight somebody else, I have to fight somebody else. And I know I'm eventually going to get there as long as I keep winning fights. So I'm not too worried about it. At this point, I'm just, itching to have a fight as soon as I can.
Yeah, it sounded like Martin was going to fight Tan Le, right? So where do you think, if we're looking at the rankings here, you came in at number 5, these new One Championship rankings. How do you agree with that position? You think you should be higher?
I'm not super familiar. I remember it coming out and then a couple people letting me know that I was ranked. I mean, I actually think in a way they're being somewhat generous because I am 5-0. So, I mean, I don't know, maybe that's me being humble, but I am 5-0. So it's a lot of these guys have records, upwards of, 15 fights and things. So it's I don't necessarily think that I should be higher ranked or anything like that. But I don't think it's out of the question for me to be in contention for a title, just like any of those other guys, just because I am on a, 5-fight winning streak. And I do have quite a big promotional base from jiu-jitsu. It's going to makes for an exciting storyline regardless. And as we've seen in fighting many, many times, what the rankings say in terms of who fights who next is not always necessarily what's going to determine who is going to fight who next. I guess in a perfect world that would make sense, but to me only taking into account rankings as to who's going to fight who next is kind of like the amateur way of doing things. If I'm going to run in the Olympics, of course that makes sense. You know what I mean? Because it's an amateur organization. Well, I mean, I guess, technically if you win gold or whatever, you do get paid now, but you get what I'm saying, right? You're just trying to find out who's best, right? But when it comes to fighting at a professional level, this is entertainment, we're putting on a show, right? So, if I have more to offer as far as putting on a show is concerned and turning heads and getting people to watch than somebody else, then, I mean, hey, who are you to argue necessarily, especially if I'm, if I haven't lost yet, that I'm not worthy of a title shot. So, yeah, man, I think I'm right up there with those guys. I mean, any of those guys I'd be willing to fight as well. So, I'm ready regardless.
Do you think it's fair to have Christian Lee at number 1 there in the division when he's the lightweight champ and he's not fought in featherweight for a while?
Oh, wow. Yeah. It's very small on my screen, so I didn't even see that.
I'm trying to you. Sorry.
Interesting. I can't. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I see that. That's much bigger now.
Where's Martin going?
Yeah, I know. I lost him too. Oh, there we go. Okay, so yeah, that's interesting. I don't know what his record was because he did fight at 55 at one point, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what his record was there. I know he did fairly well. So I mean, maybe it's fair. I don't know if it's fair necessarily to have him as number one contender. Maybe the reason that they have him like that is specifically because he's won the belt at 170 already, and maybe that's how they feel like, because he's won a belt at the heavier weight class, that he's worthy to be like the number one contender at that weight. Maybe, I don't know. I guess that's reasonable, considering he holds a belt at a higher weight class. So. But I mean, I think he's right up there with those other guys in terms of skill as well, though. I think he'd give all those guys a tough fight. So I'm not looking to split hairs or anything when it comes to this sort of thing. I think all of these guys are pretty tough. I don't think there's anybody in that top 5 right there that doesn't belong.
Yeah, Christian's great, and I think maybe it's just because they want to set up a fight with him and Martin. Who knows?
Sure.
Yeah, I know they were trying to get them to fight last November, but then Christian had to jump in and fight Daggy in the Grand Prix final in Tokyo. So,
sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm one of the judges apparently on these. I'm on the panel, so I'll be sure that you'll be getting up there. Christian any favors if he's not fighting featherweight. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess we just wait and see now. What are you going to be doing for the rest of the year? Because it looks like we won't be getting back to normal. At least, as you said, we can't fly people in, especially yourself coming from America, right? You're going to have to quarantine for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's a tricky part too, right? Is like, even if they open, will they open like entirely, or are they going to do like what they were doing before? Because even when I was supposed to fight in Singapore, when it was still signed in Singapore, it's just like you said, like. I think I saw it written down that like we had to quarantine for like 14 days. And it's like, well, how am I going to, prep for a fight showing up 2 weeks ahead of time, and I'm not supposed to leave my hotel room, right? So, yeah, it's tricky, huh?
And I know you were out cornering Ryan Benoit, however you say it, when you were in Busan, right? He's fighting again. Is he this weekend? Or
he was supposed to, but I guess I had to pull out for whatever reason. So. I think I'm going to wait for him to release a statement on that. If he releases a statement, I'm not sure, but I think he's moving his fight to sometime in July. So I should be cornering him again at that date, so long as all goes well. But yeah, he had to pull out. So
presuming that would be one in Vegas, not Fight Island in.
I don't think it's. Where is Fight that Fight Island?
They revealed it was actually just in Abu Dhabi, where they did the Khabib v Dustin Poirier fight last September.
Okay.
Yas Marina. It's very close to the airport. It's like a man-made island tourist spot. So not really cool like everyone was expecting. But
yeah, I think it will be the same. I think it will be at Fight Island then. Yeah, I think it'll be in Dubai. I guess that's what they were saying.
You'll be able to get out there?
I don't know. I'll have to take a look. I guess. I don't know if they have specific. I mean, if Ryan can get there, I would imagine that I could. So, because he's American too. So, I really don't know. I don't know what the rules and restrictions are right now. So I couldn't even tell you. But I'm assuming that if they're having it there, that the athletes must be able to get there somehow. So.
Have you been following all the UFC fights? Are you a fan of what they're doing? Do you agree with them coming back and putting on shows?
Yeah, man. I think that especially the way that they're doing it, I think they're being about as cautious as they can be, with a contact sport like this. I'm a fan of like allowing people to choose. Like, listen, if like people want to fight, they want to fight. It'd be one thing if they were like, and I don't know how it is, like if they're pressuring people to fight, right, when they don't want to, and those people are scared of the virus or whatever, and it affecting their family. Well, if that's how somebody feels, I would say that it's kind of wrong for them, at least at this stage, to be trying to get them to fight, or not, force them to fight, I guess I should say, or twist their arm in whatever way they might do financially or whatever the case may be. But if people are openly willing to fight, I mean, I feel like they should have that ability. I think we all deserve that freedom to make our own decisions, and everybody that wants to stay home and protect themselves to the best of their ability should have the freedom to do that as well. So that's just the way that I generally look at it.
I agree. Well, I'm hoping One Championship gets back soon. I'm missing all the fun. It's been great to catch up with you, though, and great to catch up with everyone. So hopefully we'll all be watching you in the cage soon or in the ring somewhere like Singapore, because Garry Tonon is always great fun in the ring, man. Yeah, appreciate you
Thanks,
joining
man.
the show, sir. Yeah, and hope everything's good over there. Hope you all stay safe, and yeah, hopefully see you soon. Again, thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
No worries. Cheers, man.
Cheers, mate.
Hey guys, Sasha Platnikoff here, letting you know to tune in to SCMP Post Fight for all your weekly martial arts news.